Many people know that when Dead by Daylight was released during the summer of 2016, sabotaging a hook would literally destroy that hook for the entire remaining part of the match, albeit that the actual sabotage action took significantly longer to complete, and also had a ridiculous minus 25% penalty for missed skill checks during the interaction. This was so game breaking that you could literally sabotage all of the hooks on the map until the only ones left were those in the basement, and this is actually why a lot of killers ran Iron Grasp and Agitation together during that time, just so that they could hopefully be able to reach a hook before the survivor wiggled off, and other than that, this strategy was pretty much uncounterable. But was this really the case, or was there actually going to be a way for killers to counter this? Well, according to the DBD Wiki, there is an unreleased hook model named Deerhanger in the game files, which is stored in a folder called Improvised Hooks. This name suggests that at some point during Dead by Daylight's early development stages, Behavior were intending to make it so that killers could fashion their own hooks from scrap materials found throughout the map. However, as we all know, this concept did not make it to the live version of the game, and in my opinion the sabotage mechanic is currently in an okay spot balance wise. Regardless, it would have been pretty neat for killers to be able to make their own hooks, and it's interesting to speculate on how this feature might have functioned. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Speaking of things that were supposed to be in the game but didn't make it, did you know that originally the DBD developers wanted to make the Bloodweb an interactive 3D environment? The original idea was that while you were in the lobby and wanted to go see the Bloodweb section, the camera would pan out and your Bloodweb would basically seep up from the ground. And what you're currently seeing on screen is a very rough design of what this original Bloodweb concept might have looked like. So the idea of this was that players would have to literally walk to every single node in order to purchase it, and since we all know how bad the actual real Bloodweb was during the early days of DBD's existence, I can't even imagine how awful this would have actually been. Nevertheless though, this concept was incredibly cool, but it would have just been too slow for the actual game. The developers said it really well themselves in this dev livestream from back in 2017, so I'll just let the rest of this clip play out.
Yeah, which was a cool idea, but man, if you guys got upset about a 0.3 second span time on the Bloodweb.
If you have to walk there.
If you had to walk there, yeah. So.
And then, no. But it is a cool idea, but no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Moving on, in my last upload I showcased an unreleased swamp map that has this really interesting sewer pipe asset in it. Now, when this video that you're seeing right now first surfaced the internet back in November of 2019, players immediately thought that this was a reference to Pennywise and that OMG Pennywise was coming to Dead by Daylight. However, as we all know, this license and collaboration unfortunately did not happen. Fun fact, about a year ago there was actually a bug on the Pale Rose map which made a certain tile spawn the wrong assets and sometimes the sewer pipe could spawn there. Not only did it look very strange, but it was also kind of game breaking, because players were able to go out of bounds and the map had to be disabled for a couple of days because of that. Still, I found it very interesting that stuff like this was able to happen. But what is actually the tale of this unused tile, and why was it never implemented in the game? Well, I did some research, and in fact on the same dev livestream from earlier, the developers also talked about these sewer pipes, and I honestly don't know what kind of drugs the devs were on when they were doing this livestream. Just roll the clip.
Sometimes we come up with ideas, we model them, we implement them in the game, but they don't make it into the final version.
Like this.
My idea was like, oh, maybe we could have like sewers and stuff and connecting to the swamp.
Yeah, yeah.
Good idea.
And and we explored the idea, and one day we were just kind of playing, and we were like, wait a minute, there's an outline in that sewer. What's going on in that sewer?
So we're in shrimp.
Oh, shrimps playing poker.
It's sewer.
This is getting out of hand.
The shrimps playing poker. What are they doing in there?
I don't know. Let's ask.
Oh, it's Michael. That's why. Hey, Michael, what are you? Michael's having a party in there.
Now, even though the developers don't really explain what happened with this asset and why it was never implemented, I still find these moments really funny where the developers are just saying the most random stuff and overall just having a good time. The old dev livestreams really had a kind of down-to-earth vibe to them in general, unlike the current ones, all of which feel as though everything in them has been precisely planned out and very carefully rehearsed. Nonetheless, I got a little sidetracked there and went a little off topic, so let's get back into the video. Moving on, we've got some really old early lobby concepts from the Dead by Daylight artbook, and these look absolutely nothing like what became the final product, especially this one over here, which almost looks as if it is taking place on some kind of mountain, I guess, with the surrounding terrain feeling kind of serene almost, further proving the idea that the campfire is supposed to be like a safe place for survivors. Also, the developers have confirmed that they also wanted to make the entire lobby an interactive 3D environment, not just the Bloodweb. For example, their original vision was to be able to go to a specific tree and see your entire Bloodweb carved into it. They further explained that they intended for the way in which you entered other people's lobbies to be by going through a specific portal and so many other cool things like that. However, all of these ideas were discarded as, in the end, this project would have been very expensive and wouldn't have actually made Dead by Daylight a better game overall. Now, as the lobby's concept started to develop and become a little more coherent, the developers went through a couple of different iterations, like for example this one, where it almost seems as if there is a forest fire happening in the background. Another instance is this picture right here, which resembles the final product a lot more. However, there are still some kind of strange lampposts that can be seen here, but overall this concept looks the closest to the lobby that we got for the live release of the game. Now, a lot of you are probably familiar with this UI right here. This was the original in-game HUD that was in the game for a pretty decent chunk of its existence, up until a couple of years ago when the UI was reworked in order to be more modern and to convey more information. But did you know that originally DBD was intended to not have any kind of UI at all? No, not this UI, I'm talking about the actual in-game HUD, meaning that players were intended to not have any kinds of information on their screen at all. But how would the game even work if that was the case? Well, as we can see from the official Dead by Daylight artbook, there were originally going to be these kind of entity whispers that would randomly appear throughout the environment, and that was basically going to be the way of how players received in-game information. For example, in this picture right here, there is a text that says 1 down, 3 to go, with that probably referencing the fact that the killer has just sacrificed one of the survivors. This is a really interesting concept of what the entity might have behaved like, and the developers go into a lot more detail in this clip right here. Check it out.
That we had this sort of notion of the entity that evolved over time, but back then we knew it was malevolent, but we thought maybe it would kind of help out survivors sometimes. Scrap that idea pretty quick, but yeah. So what it would do is post these sort of notifications, alerts, and updates about what was happening in the game on the environment around you, which is still kind of a really rad idea.
Yeah.
But proved a little impractical given our time constraints.
Yeah.
As you can see, this concept was pretty quickly scrapped, and so the developers decided to go with a more generic UI style. Funnily enough, this right here looks kind of like a Windows desktop, not gonna lie. Well, yeah, I guess that was it. These were 5 unimplemented concepts from DBD's history. I apologize if this video might seem kind of rushed, I have just been kind of busy lately. Nonetheless, I hope you guys found this video interesting and that you learned something new from it. If you did, then make sure to let me know by leaving a like down below, and also I would be glad if you considered subscribing as well. Anyways, thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!